troops had to be evacuated. A German invasion of England was then expected at any time. The railways were provided with firm guidelines on how to respond to the dreadful eventuality, and one of the more trivial actions was the removing of signs from railways and roads which could conceivably help any enemies who landed, the most feared of which being parachutists. This action ignored the fact that the German invaders would have been no fools and would probably have had maps to find their way around. The men doing this obliteration don't really seem that serious or concerned. This was pretty much the prevailing attitude of the time.
Women played a most important part in the wartime activities of the railways. Over 123,000 of them were employed. Before the war, 26,000 were employed, mostly in clerical grades as shorthand typists, telegraph and telephone operators. During the war, their activities spread to many other spheres of manual and non-manual work, heavy and light, dirty and not so dirty. The jobs they did were too numerous to show in detail. They carried your luggage, they moved your mail, announced your train over loudspeakers. That well-kept horse which drew the railway cart bringing goods to your door was probably driven by a woman and groomed by one. They issued and collected your ticket, collected, sorted, loaded and delivered your parcels. Women helped in the maintenance of locomotives and rolling stock. They worked on the permanent way. A railway depot making concrete sleepers was staffed entirely by women. There were architects and draftswomen, gas fitters, passenger train guards and motor van drivers, ticket printers, signal women. This female army was drawn from every walk of life: tailoresses, shop girls, housewives, umbrella makers, waitresses and mineral water bottlers. One woman used to be a cowpuncher on the Mexican prairies. Another was a rubber planter in Malaya and became a motor tyre inspector. Yet another was a manageress of a famous London restaurant, but became a porter and general factotum at a small country station. There were mothers, grandmothers and great-grandmothers engaged in wartime duties on the railway. There was a signalwoman 18 years old and a goods porter, great-grandmother of 66. There was a small army of women painters, old and young, and women crane drivers swung heavy loads with mechanical precision. Like their sisters in other industries, many railway women had husbands in the forces, and homes and children to care for. Work did not finish at shift's end, but despite their domestic responsibilities, they carried on their wartime jobs with a fine determination, knowing that on them depended the turning of many wheels. Wheels of wagons and locomotives rolling over the iron road, bearing 1,001 necessities for the home and fighting front.